Hello everyone, it's Monica again. I received the question quite a few times, why did you leave the Mennonites? And I wanted to answer it as well as I could. I would say the number one reason was probably mental health. I wasn't very happy there, especially at the end. As a child I think I was, but later on I had to develop a sense of self to get on. I somehow developed a sense of self. I don't know what I mirrored it on, just everyone around me, but I didn't feel like I was seen for who I was, so I had to leave the culture to develop that, to leave the culture and discover my passions, what I was interested in, what I wanted to do in life, and then I also had the possibility of having a career. Is that everything? We were allowed to have medications like for depression or anxiety in the Mennonites, but that didn't work for me. And yeah, you can't just have medication and not talk about things. And you get very rigid, start to hold your body tightly. One of the first things I did when I left the Mennonites was dance, because I needed to move my body, and those thoughts that I held so hard inside of my body, I need to move them out. I need to let them start moving. Sit up straighter. Let me see my notes. Oh, I had a harder time listening to the sermons towards the end. They were very anxiety provoking, and I just felt so unsafe and unloved listening to the sermons. I began to realize later that the core concepts behind what they were teaching actually taught me to devalue myself as a person and as a woman. You were supposed to listen to yourself. Don't listen to your feelings. That was the mantra. And so you had to listen to the authorities, listen to people outside of you the people around you reflected who you were. And this isn't just in the Mennonites, I know this happens elsewhere, but I had to study it. Like crazy to figure out what happened. Why did I get so depressed? Why did I have social anxiety, phobias? It seemed like life was beautiful. I had a mostly loving family, but the relationship skills, the core relationship skills were missing, and especially self-worth. To denigrate yourself was a virtue. Mennonites. I had to learn how to love myself again, and that is an ongoing process, of course. Probably we learn that for the rest of our lives. There are some good things that I got from being a Mennonite, and they would be I had a sheltered childhood. There's no TV or radio, and I wasn't really exposed to the outside news. I mean, I heard about 9/11, but it was way later in the day, 6 o'clock at night. That night I heard about it, and from a friend, from a neighbor, and I didn't hear much about the news, and so I lived believing the world was, relatively safe. I mean, of course, we were taught always the world outside the Mennonites was unsafe, and inside you were always safe. You'd never be hurt, which is not always true. Things get covered up, but that was my experience. I'm thankful for that. My experience was very safe, mostly safe in the Mennonites, except for emotionally, I suppose, mentally, spiritually. Being sheltered can have its downsides. You can be naive sometimes about what's going on in the world, but you have to learn that when you leave. It's not very easy. the basis in spirituality behind the doctrines. Wasn't even really part of the doctrines. I don't know how I felt it. Maybe it's just who I was. But that was, I could feel the deeper mysteries without a name. I could feel them even though I couldn't name them. I always longed for them. But I think maybe being religious opened a door, gave me a bit of words for that longing. I think that was helpful. But I left. There was another reason why I left. It was truly to find my spiritual freedom, to start giving my meanings to the names, my meanings to those words, all those religious words. I redefined them for myself. And I can never go back. I'll never be able to go back. I've learned too much to be able to go back. I won't be able to think that way anymore. I can't think like a Mennonite anymore. I've learned too much. But I want to honor my past. It has made me who I am. It's part of my story. To migrate from the world of the Holdemans into the world. The rest of the world is a lengthy process. Might take my whole life. The language is different, the words have different meanings, same words have different meanings. Schooling is different. The attitudes are different, the clothing is different, the environment is different. And the culture is its own unique way of living, and it will probably always influence me. For better or for worse. No matter how far behind I leave it. But that's okay. I think I've made peace with that. Most of the time. Yeah, I think I can say I'm grateful to have been a Mennonite. I won't do it again, but I'm grateful. There are things that I've learned. It's made me who I am, and I like who I am. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this reflection, and if you want to hear more, subscribe.